I wanted to start here because this is where it all started. We had our island top replaced, and instead of throwing that away, we decided to recycle it and make a really easy table. Now don't throw away your old island piece or counter piece. You can make an end table, you can make a dining room table, or a workshop table. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a frame first. We got some 4x4s we got at Home Depot. These are just the regular pine. Some 2x6s with lag bolts. We got some lag bolts, some more structural screws, elbow brackets. We're going to use a miter saw to make our cut. We're going to use a Craig jig to secure our countertop to our framing. Let's take a look at our tools, our equipment, and the countertop we have. Now we have a nice countertop. We have an HE Climax. I really felt bad about throwing that away. The builder's kind of messed up and we ended up getting a bigger one. Now it doesn't matter if you get a Climax or it's just regular Formica or granite, whatever it is, don't throw it away. We can make this work. Now let's take a look at our tools. So here we have some simple 4x4s. They were not very expensive. Now just remember, these have already sanded edges, and that's why we got them. And same thing with the 2x6s. Don't buy those rough cuts, because this is going to go inside your house. We are going to give it a light sanding, and we're going to paint it to the color of the kitchen cabinets. Here we have our trusty Craig jig. This is probably the best tool you can possibly have. If you buy one of these, you're going to look for projects to use this on. And then I also went ahead and purchased a separate screw set. This is a 450 screw set. I'll put that in a link below where I got that. This is both Amazon products. I think this is a little bit of a mid-end Craig jig, not the lowest. I won't recommend the lowest. And then we have just a regular miter saw. We are not going to cut it on these buckets. This is for the show. Just to give you, this is a Hercules. I bought it at Farm Freight. We're just regular people making regular projects. All right, let's look over to our countertop. Like I said, this is a very nice countertop. We felt so bad about throwing it away. It is wicked heavy, as Kevin would say. I mean, it's got to be, what, 200 pounds?
It's not right.
Yeah, and if we look at the back end of it, now, this is what we're going to be securing it to. You see, it's got an actual bottom. This is what we're going to be able to Craig jig it to. We might use wood glue first for our framing before we screw anything at all. So, without further ado, let's get this project started. We're going to make some rough cuts.
So for our cuts, we did 4x4 legs at 28 to 31 inches. We went with 31 because we have some taller people in our life, but 28 is a typical. Next, the 2x6, the wide piece would be 31 inches, 2 on the outside, 2 on the inside that goes under the table. And then the 2x6 long was at 7 feet. The tabletop was 7'3" by 3 feet. Remember, your tabletop is going to overhang the framing.
This is so simple, and all we got to do is we're going to put the brackets in, make sure everything is square, and glue it all together. Hey Luke, can you explain us what you're doing here and why?
Yeah, so right here, I am just making everything square, so on top here, it's even with the top. And this piece is going to be standing up in a minute, and it's going to be even on the sides too when I put the side piece on. It's 2x4 to 2x6 is the same thickness, 1.5 inches.
Does it make it easier to, what makes it easier to put the screws in? You see you're using a hammer.
So just by tapping the screws in a little bit with a hammer, just presets this first part of the screw versus it sitting there trying to spin until it actually grabs.
Okay. So we're going to center this intermediate supports, and there's a couple of ways of doing it. One way is you find the center and you go evenly from the center to each side, or you can do what Luke is doing. Luke, what are you doing?
I just took the total length and divided by 3, or 2 supports in the center.
There you go, you have it.
So 2'4", 2'4", 2'4".
And we're going to dry fit it first. Hang on. Fingers. Okay. That is going to be one sturdy table. So we just made our first Craig jig hole, and Luke wants to do what?
Just a test and make sure it's not going to go too deep into our table.
So That will go in a little too deep into our table.
That gives us a 1 1/16 out.
All right, we're gonna try with a slightly smaller screw and see how much we get out of that. Oh, that's much better. We don't need a lot. In fact, we could have even gotten away without doing these, but I really wanted to use a Craig jig.
So we dragged this heavy table and the countertop to the kitchen, pre-fitted it one more time, and glued it. Applied some pressure. You'll notice that I'm below Craig jigging the last of the screws. I've only used about 6, and the amount of trust that I have in this table and its sturdiness is that I have my friend laying literally on top of me as I'm screwing it in.
We're going to sand it and paint it, and then we're going to caulk it on the edge. Now typically what you would do is we would actually sand it and paint it before we put it together. Unfortunately, this top was about 200 pounds, and we didn't have the time to do it that day, and I do not have help today, or further on, I'm not going to have help for a while, so I wasn't going to be able to lift it by myself or with my wife. So we went ahead and put it together. I'm going to kind of do it a little bit backwards. I'm going to sand it now and paint it later today, and then we'll caulk it. I have this Boyer sander. I actually bought it at Harbor Freight for 20 bucks. It's on sale today in December for $20. I actually spend half as much just on the grit paper. Now what you're going to do is you're going to do 120, and then you're going to do 220 after that to finish it off before putting a coat on. I am not putting anything down on my floor yet. I do have laminate floors. The dust will be easy to clean that up with, and then afterwards I'm going to line this with some Visqueen so the paint doesn't get on the floor. And let's get started, Apollo. You ready? You ready to use the palm sander? It'll be your first day. You ever used a palm sander before? I think you're gonna freak out. I don't think you're gonna like it.
Real quick, if you like our videos, please like and subscribe. It goes a long way for our small channel. I ended up being really happy with the sander. It performed as it should. I would say probably even just a little bit better. The only thing I'll add, again, you should be sanding and painting this before you assemble it. And with that said, I ended up pulling some of the bolts out just so I can get closer and underneath them for a better sanding job. So we did 2 coats of paint, color matched at Lowe's, and it turned out pretty good. Here's the final product.
Alright, so we finally have the table made. I want to start here because this is where it all started. We had our island top replaced, and instead of throwing that away, we decided to recycle it and make a really easy table. This table is made out of pine. We used some decking screws for structural support. Underneath, you can see it's just a very simple frame. You can honestly do it in less than half a day if you have the right tools. Overall, this turned out to be great. It's an enormous table. It's about 7.5 by 4 feet. So don't throw away your old countertops. Recycle them. You can use it for a workbench. We use it for a dining room table. It turned out great, and it's been surviving the kids. So